How you guys doing out there? I'm Doug Best on the Doug Best Show. And tonight, what we going to talk about tonight? I'm going to talk about your favorite subject, most people's favorite subject, which is what? Money. I'm going to talk about money. These right here are some yens. This is a $10,000 yen. We finna go to Japan, Tokyo, Japan in a minute. You guys just hang in there with me for a little bit here, then we gonna talk about it. Today is my last day working. We was working over on my construction site today, the Doug Best apartment complex. We had about 10 people, 9 people over there working today. Man, we got a lot did. But I said, today I'm gonna spend the money because I wanna make sure that we get everything did. And I wanna say happy early Mother's Day to the beautiful ladies out there, and especially the ones in my family, my daughter, Tanisha, my granddaughter, Kia, and my sister, Doris, and Elaine, Sharon Best, and Makia, and my nieces, and everybody. And my senorita, happy Mother's Day, and all the other ladies out there. You're on the Doug Best Show. I got here late. I was going to go home and shave and put on a brand new suit that I got. I said I want to celebrate my last day working. Before we start our vacation, and we're going to start it off by getting on a cruise early Monday morning. And we're going to start there, and we just going to enjoy. So I'm going to take the whole weekend. I'm just going to relax. But before we do that, I just want to come and talk to my friends tonight. You guys, how y'all doing out there? Y'all on the Doug Best Show, and what I want to talk to you about is money. Money. So they always say that, one thing that you don't never want to talk about is money. But from the cradle to the grave, you need the money. And every step and phase in between, you need the money. You need the money. And most of us, I'm going to say 90% of us never really understood or never got an understanding about financial literacy. What exactly is money? What is money? We know it could be a $50 bill, an American $50 bill. Let me find one. An American $50 bill. Or it could be a $20 bill. But in Japan, this is a $10,000 yen. It takes 10,000 yens to make 80,000 American dollars. 10,000 yens to make 80 American dollars. Make sure I say that correct. So I want to get on here, and just talk about, money just a little while. You know what I mean? That's what the Doug Best Show is all about. I hope I can get a few people to just tune in, and I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to share just a few personal things about my life with money. And this is the problem right here. I don't want nobody under no circumstances after we go to talking about money. I'm going to share a little bit about my life. Don't start calling me begging for nothing. I'm just explaining to you about money. I'm explaining to you about money. We having a conversation. It's Friday night, about 9 o'clock. We just talking. I see Floyd Mayweather. I see the movie stars. I see all those people. I seen Deion Sanders' son. He was doing this here, and he showed a box of money. And I said, man, you know what? It's personal. I went to the bank, and I talked to Frank. I said, man, you know what? Man, can I show $500,000 of my own personal money? And he says, well, I said, can I go in the vault? I don't want to take the money out the bank. If somebody out there, I need 2 or 3 people out there to just listen to me. This is a true story. Nobody's going to believe you. Because, most people that be on these things right here is all fake and phony. It's true. So I go to the bank. I'm talking to Frank. I got a rapport with the bank. And, I got the assets in the bank. I said, I want to go in the vault, man. I want to take a video and put it on my podcast. And the guy's looking at me like, I'm an alien or something. It's a true story. You guys on the Doug Best Show. I'm Doug. I mean, I didn't go dress up. I don't have to dress up because I got what I got already. If you know me, then you know that I'm not no bullshit artist. I'm just telling you a true story. So Frank says, hey, Doug, man, come have a Coke with me. Just sit down, let's just chit chat. And he says, man, you have the money in your account, but if I take you into the vault, everybody in this bank could get fired. I said, Frank, what is you talking about? I said, man, I see rappers and people doing those videos where they go into the bank and, they have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they showing it. He says, man, there's no bank in America that's going to allow you to go inside their vault and take pictures of no money. He says those are studio settings where, either the money's not real, it's a prop, or you could go to different places where you could literally pay them to have $1 million, but $1 million, and you could take pictures and take videos of it and just take those videos, but unbeknown to the people in front of or behind the cameras or in front of the TV screen, they got 5 or 6 or 10 people in there with machine guns, security protecting the money. Financial literacy. That's what we're talking about tonight. And before I forget, I want to send a big shout out to my main man. Happy, 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 happy birthday, Mr. Oswald Hopkins. Happy birthday. I don't know if we got anybody out there. So my senorita says, hola. Happy, 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 happy Mother's Day, beautiful. I just wanted to get on here, and just start trying to broaden my appeal to the people and talk about a few things. Happy birthday to the great Blanca, my sister-in-law. ¿Cuántos años? How many years? Oh, she don't know, but she's over 21. Hey, what's going on out there, guys? You guys on the Doug Best Show. And Johnny and Sandra Lee, I know you guys just left Paris, and you guys are traveling around the world, man. And we took your advice. We're going to do the cruise first, and then we'll start traveling. And also, I want to tell my son, Michael, man, thanks yesterday when you came and just sit down and just talk to me for about 30, 40 minutes, and you was allowing me to be able to clear my mind. And my daughter and my grandson, each one of you guys, they're going to be on a plane. They're going to Paris Sunday, and we'll start our vacation on Monday. And I want to tell my son, JR, So Fresh De Niro, man, thanks for that documentary that you did for me. I seen it on Facebook. It was really, really, really touching. And it talks about, how he didn't seen me over the years create a lot of successful business. We're going to go back to financial literacy in a minute, and we're going to talk about the money. We're going to talk about the money. We're going to make it rain. We're going to make it rain with the thousands and thousands of yens that we got, that we're going to take on the trip. But my son was talking about, I think he missed some of the things, over the years that he didn't realize that I had been successful in. I was a successful promoter in an entertainment business years ago when Rick James used to come here, the Ohio Players. I used to bring them to the Star Palace, the Rainbow Ballroom, different places that, I used to bring different entertainers here. It was a disco era. And I created a laundromat. I created this building next door. It used to be a Cricket phone store. I created that. It was successful, but the money was too slow. Then I created the barbershop that's over there. I had a handyman business, very successful handyman business, but it's too time intense, not enough money. Tree business, a lot of businesses over the years. Best Market, very, very successful market, Best Market. And now we got Best Taxes, we got Best Construction, Best Tree Trimming. We done did a lot of things over the years, but we want to go back to the money. Most of us never really understood exactly what money is. So let's just talk about money for a little while. Personal. So what happens in my situation? Ray Chapman, I see you out there, Miss Greathouse. I'm gonna just talk about something. I hope one of you guys could just tune in. All I need is 3-4 people to just listen to me and let's talk about it. I see you, Ray Chapman, and And Miss Greathouse. But what I want to talk about with money, this is what happens, man, when you become successful. I was talking to my neighbor on Jensen today. I told her what I wanted to do. She says, well, why would you do that? Because I just want to talk about it. What happens when you become successful and people know that you have some money? It's true. I got some money. She says, but you don't look like it. I said, you think those apartments I'm building over there is for free when I'm self-financing with my own money? I got some money. But I don't know if it's something that you want to be boasting or bragging about. You know, we just having a conversation with my friends. Most successful people, they're not going to talk to you about money, but I'm going to talk to you tonight just a little bit about financial literacy. And so what happens when you become successful or you acquire a bunch of financial assets and people know that you have those financial assets? They could be family members, they could be so-called friends, they could be acquaintances, they could be whoever they are. Unless those people were with you from the beginning when you first started your climb, your trajectory to success and becoming financially independent, most of the people, 99, maybe not that high, I'm going to say 80, 85% of the people, once they find out that you got a bunch of money or whatever, they're not going to never be real. And how do you know? How do you know? Especially somebody like me, my whole life, everything that I do in every day of my life is with people. I got a Mexican wife in there, so I'm around Mexicans all day. I got Mexican workers. I'm around black people all day. I'm around white people all day. In my tax office, I'm around people all day. On the construction site, I got all kinds of different people. And I've been successful since I was about 15, 16 years old. So that means for over 50 years, I'd have been around people and I'd have had a bunch of money. So what happens when you get a bunch of money? I'm talking about me, personal. I don't care what the rappers say because most of them people lying. And I'm just talking about me. Don't call me begging, asking for some money. I'm not going to give you a dime. I'm going to be courteous and nice and polite, but I'm not going to give you my money when I get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, exercise. When I want to lay in the bed and make love to my woman, I get up and exercise and study for an hour, then go to work. Then here it is, 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, I'm going home working. Somebody out there, I'm going home tired. And then you, the average person, is going to call me with some kind of guilt. It's about 4 or 5 things what people do once they know that you got money. Usually if they family members, they're going to try to play some kind of guilt trip on you. If you got a personal relationship with them, they're going to try to play something, some kind of guilt trip. I'm talking about me, my personal life. I'm successful, so I could talk about it. They say never talk about money, but so what? I got the money. What I got to hide and pretend like I don't? It's not true. It's true. We do have the assets. Second thing that people do, they got the robbers. Well, you know, they'll literally, you know, use a weapon to try and take your money or your life. We got those people. And you also got the robbers in these different offices and administrative bureaucracies, how they rob you out of your money. Code enforcement. You go to different offices and they find out that you got some money. They play a million games trying to trick you out of your money. Then we got the kind of people, users. They'll play all kinds of little games once they realize that you got the money. Some of them will play the long-range game. They'll play the long-range game like, you know, they're really your friend, but they plotting and scheming all the time just to get your money away from you. Then you got the users that you see them every 6 months, every year they pop up, but every time they popping up, they always want something. I don't know how nobody in their right mind could think that somebody like me has spent their whole life, you know, in the mud, working from the mud up to here. And when you come and you playing some kind of game that I don't see it. I'm sure that, you know, Shannon Sharp, Stephen A. Smith, Deion Sanders, the people at Drink Champ, they go through the same thing, but I'm not sure that that they might not have the wherewithal to get on here and just talk about their personal experience. But this is Doug Best Show. I just want to get on here and just chit chat with my people right here. So when you become successful, you could play it one or two ways. You could pretend like you don't have no money, and then you got all the money in the world that you want to be able to do anything that you want to do. But now you got to live in a little prison in your mind because you don't want people to know that you got assets, financial assets. But what you got to learn how to do when you become successful, we're going to go back to the different kind of users in a second. You got to learn how to say no. You got to learn how to say no. Because when you saying no, it's a difference when you saying no when somebody really needs it. You don't necessarily have to say no. But you got to have the discernmentship and the ability to be able to see when it's just some conning and some manipulation and some scheming and conniving. But what happens over the years, when you didn't have money for a long, long time, like me, you learn how to see all kinds of different things. And then, so somebody might be saying out there, so if you got all that money, why you on there talking about it? Because this is the Doug Best Show. I'm educating you. I'm educating you. I'm trying to teach the people that that's got the wherewithal and the good sense to just listen to a person that knows about my situation. The other people with some money, if they got some money, they're not going to tell you the truth. So I'm just sitting here and just explaining to you. We're going to talk about financial literacy in just a second. Because most of us in our life, when it comes to money, all they didn't tell us is to go to work, to hustle. You get 100,000, you might get $1 million or whatever, and then you're going to buy a bunch of jewelry, you're going to buy a bunch of cars, you're going to do a bunch of partying, and then you might get $1 million or two, couple of million, and then you go broke 2 or 3 times. Then you get 50 and 60 years old, and you can't get the money no more because you never really learned financial literacy. Financial literacy is being able to understand what the capitalistic system is all about. You got to be able to get the money, invest the money like I'm doing in the apartment complex over there, so you have residual income in perpetuity. In perpetuity, what does that mean? That means that, even if I died and I set the system up correctly, the money come in for forever. That's in perpetuity. That means that, you don't have to hustle no more. So that's the difference between, you having a little money. You could be like street rich or you could be rich or whatever it is, but you still got to have the financial literacy, the understanding, the knowledge about money, because nobody really never taught us that. What they taught most of us, whether you're a black person or a Mexican person from the street, or you could be a poor and middle class white person, or you could be a white person, that's got a PhD. Most people never learned financial literacy, the basics. Most people didn't learn that, you get a little money, 100,000, 200,000, whatever it is. You put it in the bank, and they take your money, and they become rich off of your money. So why am I here on the platform, on the Doug Best Show tonight, talking about money? I want to talk, and I just want to share my mind. I just want to be able to share my mind with you so you could just see that all things are possible. I was making a statement tonight when I did a video when I left on my compound. I said, man, if I got 2 million people listening to the Doug Best Show and I add value to their life, 2 million people, just listen to me now. I mean, when there's nearly 400 million people in America, if I had 2 million people and everybody that I know, if I had 20 people, then 25 people, or 50 people that worked for the Doug Best Show, and I got 2 million people, and I got 50 people that work for me doing podcasts, or, they They could be doing YouTubers or whatever it is, but you know, you working for the Doug Best Show. How many people could make a bunch of money off of this? But could you see it in your mind? Just imagine in your mind, you seeing me right here. I'm on the airways. Who knows? President Donald Trump could be listening to me right now. Okay, so you're probably thinking, okay, yeah, okay, Doug, you can say anything. Hey, man, listen, you're on the Doug Best Show. You see how you be scrolling through Facebook, and you see all those entertainers? You see them, but you don't know they see you also. It's true. Everywhere we go, I went the other day, Jensen and Pilligard, Jerome, he's one of the technicians back there. I bought a lawnmower. He says, I'll be watching your podcast. I said, what? I did Jerome and the Sun, Texas about 4 or 5 years ago. I haven't seen them in that amount of time. Oh my God. And I went to AT&T right there, right across the street from Manchester Center. I think it was Monday. And a lady was in there and she says, no, I watch you your podcast. You never know who's watching us right now. But we talking about financial literacy. I'm your friend, baby. I'm Doug. I'm on the Doug Best Show, and I want to talk to you about money. Yeah, I got a bunch of money. But what do that mean? That don't mean nothing. Don't make me no special person. It don't mean nothing. Tomorrow, somebody could get mad at me in a position of power and decapitate me, take all the money, take everything. But I'm just hoping to God there's some kind of way that I could get a bunch of people to listen to me. And they could see the vision in my mind of what I'm thinking about or what I'm trying to do. If I got 2 million subscribers and my heart is pure and I done lived 60 years and I done figured out the American capitalistic system, being in the mud, being a drug dealer, going to prison, straightening up, doing everything correctly and putting God first in my life, if I could find a way to articulate this to 2 million people and they follow me religiously, what kind of power, what kind of influence would the Doug Best Show have? Can you see it in your mind? Can somebody go with me in your mind? So somebody just came from the lowest of the low. You can't come no lower than what I came from. My parents and my grandparents were sharecroppers in Caruthersville, Missouri. That's how far we came back from there to here. But now here I am. I done created a platform. I'm on the airways that's traveling all over the world. We don't know who's listening to me right now, but we're here. So it's a difference between, being poor and being broke in the mind. Because everything starts right here in the mind. And then, it starts in the mind, and then you got to fertilize it and then put in the work. And you got to study, and you got to study, and you got to study, and you got to study. Financial literacy. It's not just you go and get your $1 million, or you get $2 or $3 million, you got that money, but you don't have the knowledge to how to make that money work in perpetuity. That means that money will be working 5, 6, 20 generations from now. Even if you got a nut in your family, like the Kennedys might have, whatever. But Joe Kennedy was so smart that he put the trusses together where the money works in perpetuity. And what that means, no matter how smart or how slick somebody might think that they are, the money continues to work. Okay, so here we are. We on the Doug Best Show. I'm your friend, baby, and we talking about money. How you know something about money, Doug? Because I grew up, always had good sense. I'm not boasting or nothing like that, but I always been smart. Always. That's my gift or one of my blessings from God, but that don't mean that I'm nobody special or nothing like that. Always been good, and I always been an entrepreneur since I was a little kid, 5 or 6 years old. If you ever talk to somebody, one of my family members, they'll tell you, I'm not lying. It's the truth. And then you guys see me every day of your life. I'm always on these platforms. That's what I do. I do entrepreneurship. And so we was talking about a few minutes earlier about how Once you do become successful, do you hide and say that I don't have nothing? And no, I ain't gonna do that. You got to be alert and careful at all times, because you're gonna make some mistakes. You're gonna have situations where it could be like, if you do something wrong to me, I'm gonna blast you out on this thing. Chico Greer, you could loan somebody like him some money and they could play like some games, and you could be stupid and go and do something stupid and try to revenge to get the money back. I'm not gonna do that. This is a revenge. Letting him know that, this a crook, a snake slide up under you. Remember, I was telling you about users earlier, how they could slide up under you and being a manipulator. And I'm not sure if the word trust, but you allow them in your inner circle. My senorita was just saying earlier about how we got to make sure that the core group of people that you keep it tight. Otherwise, if you're not financially literate and have good common street sense, you'll get all the money and you're going to lose it. I'm not going to do that. I don't care if it could be my son, my daughter, my senorita in there. If it's some BS and I detect it, I'm not going to give you a dime, even though I got a lot. But if I try to keep my hand on the pulse of the streets, and I try to keep my hand on the pulse of everybody in my family, even though you don't know it, I'm aware and I'm alert. I know everything that's going on around everybody, my son, my daughter, my grandkids, my senorita, everybody in the family, because I'm watching. So I keep my hand on the pulse so I can know if something do happen, the situation is so if something happens in my family, I know they can't go to them white people and go to the bank and say, I need 10,000 or 50,000 or whatever it is. But you could come to me if it's real. But I'm going to know if it's real. Because how? Because I'm paying attention. When you don't think that I'm paying attention. And when I leave the job sites and, it might be 12, 1 o'clock at night, my senorita, no, I'm studying. I'm watching everything. But I don't want to get off track here. We're here on the Doug Best Show, and we talking about money. So you got to keep in mind, you got the users. They're part of the scenario. They're gonna manipulate you. They're gonna use guilt. They're gonna try to bully you. Some of them gonna play long range. They're gonna try to be your yes man. But you got to always keep your defenses up. In the penitentiary, they call it using usalama. That means that always have your defenses up and always put God in first. And keep your heart pure, but always be alert when it comes to money. So, okay, so Doug, somebody probably might be thinking out there, so what if I did have $100,000 and I put it in the bank? And I just put it in the bank. Is that a good idea? It's an okay idea, but it's not a great idea because you're not going to reap that much. You're not going to reap that much interest, or you're not going to get that much of a yield for letting the money stay in the bank with $100,000. So what if I had $500,000 and I put it in the bank? Your money is safer there in the bank, but you remember this financial literacy. This is something that they ain't gonna talk about. Everybody ain't gonna talk about this, but I'm talking about it. This financial literacy. You had $500,000 and you just took it to Chase Bank and you just put it in the bank. Okay, so your money's secure. But you remember the FDIC. They only gonna give you. They only gonna insure you up to $250,000. But you're not doing bad. If there was a Great Depression or something like that, you'll lose your money. You remember years ago, in the 80s or whatever, they had the savings and loans. How a lot of people lost their money. So the FDIC raised the rates of the insurance rates to $250,000. So the best thing would be to do is to have $250,000 in one account and $250,000 in another account. That way you're safe. Okay, so Doug, if you did have $500,000, what would be your suggestions to do? Diversify it. What that mean? That means, how your mom and them used to say, don't put all the eggs in the same basket. We're talking financial literacy here. You're gonna always have some liquidity, some liquid. And liquid is like something where you could always get access to your cash when you want it. I'm talking to you. I'm right from the bottom. I'm the money guy. I'm the money guy from the street that that I could talk to you right here on the Doug Best Show. And You're not going to be able to just go and talk to Elon Musk. You know, he's not no regular financial guy, really. You're not going to be able to go over there and talk to Diamond from Chase Bank, the CEO of Chase Bank. So, you know, me and you talking right now. You on the Doug Best Show. And I'm hoping that, you know, that if I can instill some good ideas in your mind, but I'm going to stay on point. If you had $500,000, what would you do with it, Doug? I would diversify it. I would leave some liquid. Liquid means that you know how you might have some T-bills from the federal government. You might have a few bonds, 50,000 here, 50,000 there. This is what they're not going to teach you. And then you would have some cash in the bank. Then you would take some, and then you would put some of the money in the stock market. Where you could get you a Vanguard account that would mirror the S&P 500. What's the S&P 500? Those are the 500 greatest financial institutions in America. It could be like Coca-Cola. They'll get the 500 biggest corporations in America. That's what it's called, the S&P 500. And you put your money in there, and the risk factor isn't that great, but the return is going to be way better than just having all your money sitting in the bank. Because, guys, this is financial literacy right here. This is what they're not going to teach you. And just stay with me a little while. You know, I'm going to close in a minute. This is what they're not going to teach you, especially if you're from the inner city, because don't nobody know. Who you know that could talk about $1 million and got $1 million, a 500,000, a 200,000, and they can talk about it. And you could go down there to the bank, and them white people are going to recognize you. You can go in there looking like me, and then you don't have to feel small. I remember me and my son, I don't know if he even listened. One day we went to the bank. I think we was in Clovis. And me and him was in there just being our own self, but the guy know that his dad, me, he knew what my financial portfolio is. So what you guys got out there? You're on the Doug Best Show, and we talking about financial literacy. You don't have to be up there with John Hope Bryant, a great guy. I love this guy. He tells the truth, and he tells the truth. But you could be right here with me, and I'm explaining it to you. And then, you know, you see me, and you're going to see me and my senorita traveling around the world. A black guy from the mud that's spent half his life in the penitentiary. And I'm explaining to you, you know, about hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars. And I can explain it to you from real experience. Why you talking about that kind of stuff on that thing, Doug? And them white people could cut your head off. What are they going to be mad at me for? For uplifting the people? Talking to the people about financial literacy? I'm 60, 70 years old now. I got to be here, and I got to be afraid I can't talk about money. Sure, I could talk about money, but when you talk about money, you open yourself up to what? To being able to say no? That's what happened. Just because I'm talking about my money, in your mind, you could be pocket checking. That's what they say, account my money or whatever, but I ain't going to give it to you. I don't care, you know, whatever game that you're using. I ain't Shannon Sharp. I ain't finna be going out there doing nothing. I'm faithful. I'm flirting and playing with the ladies, but every night I'm going home with that Mexican woman and them cats. That's the truth. Let's stay on point. Let's stay on point. So, advice. What would you do, Doug, if you did have an excessive amount of money? Buy a house. It could be an old raggedy house. Fix the house up. Quit buying a whole bunch of cars and jewelry. I got all this stuff. So what jewelry you got? Everything that you can imagine. Big chunky diamonds, big gold chains, you know, with the Mercedes emblems and all this stuff that we did in the 80s. Yeah, I got all this stuff. But it ain't important to me no more. What's important to me right now, this is what I like right here. I think this is the niche that God gave me, is to be on this thing right here and share my life experiences with the people. The only issue that I got to figure it out while I'm on this vacation, is to figure out how I could reach the people. I wish that I could talk to Donald Trump and me and him could just talk for 5 minutes. Or talk to Jamie Dimon from Chase Bank and we talk for 5 minutes right here on the Doug Best Show. Guys, you might think that I'm crazy. We on Facebook Live right now. And in a little while, I'm going to upload it to YouTube. We don't know who is watching me. And they know if I'm telling the truth, I'm not telling the truth, because I'm only going to tell the truth in all circumstances. At this point right here, that's why when the people come in my tax office, I be literally begging and hounding them and said, man, you got to bring every single piece of paperwork in here that the IRS asking for. Because I know now that I'm starting talking about money, the greater the exposure, the greater the scrutiny. And they'll cut my head off if they find me doing anything wrong. Because why? Because now you the nigga that's teaching the other niggas about how to get money and have some financial literacy. Is y'all with me? I need some people out there. Man, I'm going to upload this thing, right? And everywhere that we go in the world, you know, I'm going to share the experiences. So I know a bunch of, I don't know one person. I'm almost 70 years old that's got this Japanese yens. We got bags of them because, you know, we're going to go over there. We're not going to go over there poor and destitute. We don't have to do that. We don't do that at all. But we on here, we talking about money tonight. Don't mean that I'm talking about money and then you're going to call me later tomorrow or try to wait a week or so and come try to manipulate me. Don't waste your time. I got street smarts in a way that you will never understand. But what I'm trying to do now, I'm trying to just share with the people out there, the regular people, that anything is possible. Everything starts in your mind. So we talked earlier about if I could get 2 million. Somebody said, that nigga said he want 2 million. I want 2 million subscribers that I could stop everything and I focus 1,000% on being a podcaster. So what sets me apart from Joe Rogan, a great guy from what I understand? Nothing. He just got a whole bunch of people listening to him. Intellectually, is he any more smarter than me? Absolutely not. Life experiences different, not better. Not better. He shared what he's sharing. I'm sharing what I'm sharing. So I just want to hope and pray. Oswald, happy birthday out there, man, if you're listening. And Johnny Lee and Sandra Lee, I know you guys traveling. I don't know if you're going to get a chance to see this. I just want to tell everybody out there, you're on the Doug Best Show. It's so much with financial literacy, explaining everything, the stock market, a LLC, a S corporation, a C corporation. So you're saying, yeah, I understand all of that. All of that. Do derivatives. Do you understand? Yeah, I understand all of that. That's why when you buy an exchange rate for the money, that's what derivatives are. But I don't want to overwhelm you guys with so much information. And so somebody out there is saying, and you got all that money and I can't get $50. No, you can't get 1/4. Not from me. Unless you're somebody that you know that's in my inner circle and I know that you really need it. So if you was really trying to get some money and you was a family member, you somebody that loved me, I've been working over there on that apartment complex for 2 years. The only person that came over there and helped me on the apartment complex, I don't need nobody, was my cousin Henry Best. I paid him every time he come over there. How many people then came over there, family members, with their hands out, getting free money, ain't never brought me a sandwich? Who cares? I don't know, I'm just using it as an example. So if you saying that you with me, people, but only time I see you is you begging, you're a user. I ain't mad at you. I'm just explaining, we just having a conversation. You're on the Doug Best Show and we talk about financial literacy. So if you thinking out there that you could outsmart me when I done spent my whole life in the streets, man, come on. It's not possible. It's not possible. So the people that I love and I cherish and then just close to my heart, like my son Michael that came in here the other night, yesterday, he had to go get on a plane, but he drove all the way down and said, son, I need to talk to you, man, so I could just clear my mind. And, man, he had to be at the airport in 17 minutes. We talked and we talked. He got on the plane. I called him this morning. He had made it back to Atlanta, Georgia. My son, JR, I know when me and him talk, it's going to be pure. There's no reason for it to be no BS. When I talk to my daughter, I mean, she's going to talk a little shit. I got to tell you the truth about that. But I know it's going to be pure. It's going to be pure. And then when I talk to my senorita, I know sometimes I'm such a perfectionist, it might irritate her. But we talking about financial literacy tonight. We talking about money. Guys, I want to find a way. I got to find a way to get 2 million subscribers here on the Doug Best Show. And I know when I watch the social media, it's all mostly about a bunch of girls half naked, somebody getting beat up, some kind of somebody's talking bad about somebody that's done made the mistakes. I seen David Chappelle says everybody, all the haters love it when the hero falls. Ain't no hero. Ain't trying to be no hero. I'm just Dougie. I've been around a long time. I got good sense. I've had a whole bunch of experiences. I traveled all over the world. And I understand the capitalistic system. I've been successful. I'm successful. But now I got to find a way to be able to explain it and articulate it and get a group of people to listen to me all over the world. And I need some big people out there. Donald Trump. Somebody know this guy, the president. Why does he keep talking about Donald? Because he the boss. He the biggest white man in the world. Love him or hate him. I mean, he's the boss right now. And I need you some kind of way. I got to figure out how I got to get somebody like that on my team. And then the world is going to be the world abroad. Because I don't need no financial help. I just need exposure right now. I need somebody. Don Lemon, man, you could be out there watching me right now. I don't know. But you guys can listen to me, and you got access to go and, run my name. Ain't no secrets about, where I done been, what I done been through. I'm doing everything correct right now. I ain't never had a traffic ticket in 20 years. I work 15 hours a day, and I understand the capitalistic system. If I didn't understand it, I wouldn't have these 10,000 and thousands and $5,000 yens in front of me. And then I'm talking to the people. Anybody out there, and I'm finna close. If you got any kind of money, man, I don't care how much you got. If you got 5,000, 6,000, don't go buy no car. Go buy you a raggedy house somewhere and fix it up. Go buy you a raggedy house. If you know somebody finna lose their house or whatever you got to do, hook or crook, you got to get you a house. That's the trajectory. That's the starting point for this capitalistic system. You need a house. You don't need no cars. You just need a bucket right now. I got a bunch of beautiful cars. You see me riding around here in an old car. But we talking financial literacy. We talking money here on the Doug Best Show. It's always a joy, guys. But this is going to be my last night in the podcast here for a little while because we finna start traveling. My senorita going to have the phone in her hand. I'm going to try to put the phone on the tripod everywhere we go. Man, I'm imploring everybody. I'm begging everybody. I'm pleading everybody. Just follow me. So when we go to Japan and we get on the high-speed trail, they tell me that, that the Wi-Fi is bad over there. When we get on the high-speed train, the bullet trains that they got over there, man, you guys know I'm not lying. When J-Lo and Mayweather and them go over there, they not finna go right in the hood. When I went to Paris, France, I went right in the hood, right where the hookers was, and my senorita was like, "No, I'm finna take some videos." When we go to Japan, we go to Tokyo, man, it's gonna be like you guys right there with me. That's a part of financial literacy. That's a part of taking the money that you got and working your butt off like I do, and then taking the money and go enjoy and experiencing the world. That's financial literacy. That's a part of it. So much to cover. I just wanted to just touch just a little bit. But guys, I want you to know you could come from the rock bottom like me, and you can understand the system. And people would never imagine it. You would think that, you know, that you see the gurus on those financial channels, that they the only ones that know how the system works. That ain't true. And some of the smartest people in the world could be street guys. Being a street guy don't mean that you're stupid. It just means that you know that your entrepreneurship is in the street. That's all that means. It don't mean just because somebody say they're a street guy. It don't mean that you out there robbing people or you shooting dope. It don't mean that. Being a street guy just means that that's where your strong suit is. And what the beauty of it is, if you had somebody like somebody that was a street guy, my brother Shannon Sharp, he wouldn't be in that situation right there. I'm not gonna even touch that right there. I love my brother and I wish him well, and I wish Diddy well. And I know for a fact that, you know, if I see them on these different platforms, Bootsy and all the other people, they see me too. I'm just telling you guys, hey man, do not believe just because you're not on TV that them people on TV is no smarter than you. They playing a role. I ain't playing no role. This is financial literacy. I'm just explaining it to you in the way that I'm explaining it. What difference would it make, you know, if we got this little money right here as opposed to having $1 billion? The process is the same. If you're working $1,000 or you're working $1 billion, the process is the same. But I'm kind of going around and around in circle because you always want to kind of make it where, you know, it's A, B, C, D, E, F, G. That way you don't lose the listening audience. But guys, I'm your friend. I'm Doug Best on the Doug Best Show. And, you know, if anybody out there, you ever get a chance, you know, you listen to the guy, John Hope Bryan. The brother's brilliant, and he keep it down to earth. He talks about being toe up from the flow up. But he says, you know, I'm the money guy. I'm Doug Best. I'm your friend. You on the Doug Best Show. We finna start traveling. I love everybody. Happy Mother's Day. Happy birthday out there, Mr. Oswald and everybody, and happy Mother's Day to my senorita in there. Happy Mother's Day to my daughter, Tanisha. She finna be on a plane going to Paris on Sunday. You see that my kids, even though all my kids, it's the things that I'm doing is instilled in their DNA, whether they realize it or not. But it's always a joy, guys, from me to you, from my heart to your heart. I just hope that I added some value to your life. Financial literacy. Anybody out there, if you see an opportunity to buy a house, buy a house. And that's the first step to financial freedom. That's the very first step. You getting this from a nigga that came from the mud. I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm your friend, guys. Don't feel offended because sometimes I might use the N-word, but I want you to be able to feel the pureness in my heart. I'm your friend, baby. I'm Doug. If you get an opportunity to get a house, that's what you do. I'll see you guys soon. You guys, happy travels, and you guys stay with us. And we finna be on the freeway soon. Monday morning, we going to go live. And after that, we're going to start flying all over the world. I'm your friend. I'm Doug. Put God first in your life and use good sense all the time. Thanks.